Hey, I hope you're doing well. So today I have a important practical question for you. Imagine I have a strategy that looks like this, where therein I have some important key levels. And what I want is that whenever the price touches one of these bands here, these key levels, I want to enter a trade, open a position. But the thing is, I don't know in advance when this is going to happen. So what kind of orders can I use to do that? And also on top of that, can I use some orders such that whenever the price touches one of these bands, I have automatically a take profit and a stop loss that can be set? And another parallel question, how can I do all of this easily in Python, the programming language? So if your answer to the question, what type of orders is Louis, that's easy. Just set a bunch of limit orders here at different levels, etc. Well, no, that won't work. And actually, it's quite dangerous to do that. So let me show you why and explain why, but also show you how you can overcome this very easily. By the way, if you're wondering where this comes from, this is actually a super cool volatility harnesser strategy that I developed for a Python trading bot that is fully customizable and free. I'll let you know about this a bit later. Okay, now let me show you actually quickly by hand why I'm saying that limit orders won't work in this context and can potentially be dangerous when used like this. So let's mimic that I've already opened a position. So I'm just going to open a market order on Ethereum, opening a long. Great. So now we want to mimic that we want to set an order that is going to be the stop loss for this open position. So we said I was mentioning limit. So limit, what I want to do is close my long, so not open a new one. I'm closing 100% of the size of this open position here, so 100%. And then I need to give a price. So the price is currently around 3,562. Let's say that my strategy, for whatever reason, tells me that my stop loss should be at 3,200. Great. So let's close the long, confirming, and I get an error. Your order price is lower than the minimum price. Do you want to place an order at the minimum sell price of that amount? Okay, so first problem, there is a minimum price with respect to your entry price to set a close limit order. So first problem. But let's say that our strategy actually told us that the stop loss was much tighter and we would be okay with that. Let me do confirm. And what happened? The order was actually executed right now, even though the price is much higher than that limit that we had said we were okay with. So let me explain what happened here. It's quite simple when you think about it. It's that the exchange tries to match the best possible solution for you. And you're saying, I want to close my position. If the price drops, this is a long, keep that in mind, if the price drops to that lower level that we had given. But today, right now, there's already somebody on the order book that is happy in buying that position from you at a much higher price. So the exchange says, okay, well, I might as well make more money than waiting for it to go down. So it is matching that order and your order is closed. Okay, you might say this is a bit of a silly example. So let me show you a technical hurdle in this context here that is potentially dangerous. So let's try to mimic what happens here. You can see that when the price hit the upper band, I entered a short. So let's say we are actually at that candle here. We don't know what's happening afterwards. So at that candle, we want to set our entry, set an order, a limit order, so that if the price touches later on that upper band, it will automatically enter the trade. Okay, so let's do that. So let's come back here. I'm going to put this as a short. So the price is around 3,576 now. So we'll put the short above. Okay, sticking to this 0.02 ETH. By the way, let's check this available balance. It's quite important. So 91. So if I set my limit order here, open short. Let's do that. Okay, we can see that we naturally use some of that available balance. We do have an open order that came here. So not a position, wasn't open because the order is not executed yet. It would execute only if the price hits this value that we put here. Great. So now the question is, let's say we want to set a take profit. So because we're planning ahead, we want, if that position is open, we also want to be able to do it to take a profit. And we could also want to have a stop loss for correct risk management. So let's do the take profit. This is the short. So the take profit would be at a lower level. I almost said the wrong thing. At a lower level than the entry price. Let me just put 3,400. So how much am I putting? Well, the point here is that I want to close this position here. So this 0.2. So if I went to actually close and did, well, what I'm placing is that I want to close my short. I was almost going to put long. So I'm closing the short that I've opened here. Order failed, no position to close yet. It makes sense. This order is just an order. It hasn't been triggered. So we don't have a position yet. So when we're doing a close here, there's no position to close. Okay, so you could say, well, so one way to overcome this is rather than going through this close, what I'm going to do is open a position of the exact opposite type, opposite side. So here that's open a short. So what I could do is mimic and say that I'll open a long of the exact same quantity so that it will cancel that order here. So this is a bit dangerous because with these limit orders, you might have some liquidity things going on and you don't know which one will be triggered, will be executed first. You don't know if they're all going to be executed. So you're not sure, you won't end up with a bit of a long left or a bit of a short left or something like that. So that's a bit harmful. But anyways, let's say we'll accept that possibility and we're carrying on. So let's try this. So we're saying we want to set to open a long, and that was our take profit. Okay, I'm simply leaving that value here. So open a long. And what happens? Great. I have my open long that's here, my take profit. And you say, okay, great. But did you see what happened? Look at my available balance. It also shrunk because I'm not closing this position that we opened initially. We're opening a new one. So we're actually locking some even more funds just because we want to close that position. That's really not good, right? Imagine you are in a setup where you've put a take profit and a stop loss. But in the end, the take profit locks the funds that you would want to actually close via your stop loss or the other way around. So you're running the risk that your stop loss might never trigger or your take profit might never trigger. But also, so that's dangerous, but it's also not optimizing the use of your capital, because here you can see that what I'm really interested in is just one position of 0.02 Ethereum. So I've locked 0.02 Ethereum, but by adding my take profit here, I'm locking another 0.02. So that's some more funds that I cannot use to trade another coin, for example. So if you're in a setup with a trading bot that that trades on multiple coins at the same time, well, that you would want to be able to keep that fund to trade another coin, to set a position on another coin, for example. So that's really not efficient. So what is the answer to all this mess? Well, it's very simple. It's trigger orders. So here, instead of doing post only, you can select trigger orders. So the point of the rest of the video is to show you how you can place them in Python, and it's very easy, as you'll see. But just in case you don't know what a trigger order is, it's an order that transforms. So let's say you're doing a trigger market order. What it means, so you're giving a trigger price. So it means if the price hits that trigger price, the order will transform into a market order, and therefore it will open a position straight away. But you can also do a limit order. And in that case, what happens when the price hits the trigger price that you give, the order becomes a limit order. And that's why you also have to set an execution price for that limit order. So this is really, really handy. And to the point that this is what enabled me to develop this Python trading bot that I told you before that catches crypto volatility quite well. Actually, let me change the account so I can show you. So you can see in this setup here, I have 153 trigger orders. I certainly didn't put those by hand. That's the bot that does that automatically and also updates those regularly. And you can see, I mean, this corresponds to a lot of different coins, etc. So really, those were the trigger orders were what really helped me to make that possible. But also what you have to understand is that thanks to the trigger orders, I could attach for each entries. So some of these orders are the entries at those different levels for several coins. But for each entry, I could also attach a proper exit order. So a proper take profit, a close take profit, and a proper stop loss that is also a close, So that's really cool. Anyways, if you're interested with this on how it works, etc., I'll leave a link in the description down below that will get you to the video and all the resources that explains everything. And this is really fully customizable and totally open source and free. Okay, now let's get serious and see how we can place trigger orders easily in Python. Just let me remind you that this video is not financial advice. It's about me sharing my personal opinions and experiences. And trading is risky, it's very risky because you can lose all your capital. So what you see here is VS Code. If you need to get up to speed with this and Python in general, we do have a Python for Finance free course available on this channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Anyways, so here, first cell, what I'm doing, importing CCXT. CCXT is really an amazing library to deal with many crypto exchange API. So that's why I'm using it. This next cell here is to do with the authentication. So with the API keys, once you've created an API key on your account and to authorize the code to do the trades and the operations on there, you have to fill in these API keys. So you could copy them from your account and then paste them here as in the form of strings. But here what I did is actually I stored them in a file and I'm importing them like this. I'll leave a link about these API keys and everything in the description as well, in case you are not too familiar with all of that. Anyway, so I've done that. And now what we can do is actually place a trigger order. So let's do a market first. So let me just show you that what I'm using is the create order function of CCXT. And in there, I must fill in the symbol. So we're still carrying on with our ETH example. Here I'm doing the order type. Well, this is a trigger order. So the order type, I need to put market here. And then the side, we're going for a long. So I'm putting a buy here. The amount sticking to that 0.02 that we did that example before. And then in params here, you can see that here is actually where I'm giving the trigger price. And by giving the trigger price, BitGet will understand that what I'm placing here is a trigger market order. By the way, when you start putting things in this params dictionary, in this create order function, this starts being quite specific to the exchange. What I'm trying to say is that everything that's before that is common to many exchange. But if you want to adapt this to, for example, to another exchange, here we're doing BitGet, they might not have a trigger order, but if they do, the trigger price might not be written like this. If that's the case, you'll have to come and check, for example, in the CCXT information here on the GitHub. I'll put all these links in the description. So you have create order here. So you might have to look a bit into that, but also you should check the API information on that given exchange. You see here on BitGet, I have this place trigger order. And what I can see is that here I have the trigger price and you can see the syntax is that. So that's how I know that in my code, I have to give trigger price here. So you don't have to worry about this if you're just going to use BitGet or whatever. But if you're trying to adapt that to another code, beg your pardon, to another exchange, you have to check because what's in params does depend on the exchange. Anyways, so you can see I'm saving here the order entry here. So the results of what's going to be from this create order, and I'm printing it as well. So you know what? Let's actually run that cell. And in principle, we should also see this updating here. And indeed, it just came. Open orders. We indeed have a trigger. And we have our open long. You can see 0.02. That was the amount we wanted. And we indeed have the trigger price, 3,500. Is that indeed? I can't remember. That's indeed what I had put here. Great. So here I'm also printing what I said, the information about the order. It might be important in your algo trading, whatever you're doing with it, but great. So now we've done that, we've used that, but we're trying to find a solution to this problem of take profit and stop loss. So let me show you the example here. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm also going to set some trigger orders to mimic a stop loss, not to mimic, but to place a stop loss for that position that we just opened here. So we want to also set the take profit for that order here and the stop loss. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is that I'm setting same thing, but just keep in mind what important thing, since I'm wanting to close that long, I'm putting a sell in the side here. And quite importantly, I'm putting a reduce only extra parameter here in the params here. This is to say that it will make BitGet understand that this order that I'm placing here is to close another position. And also it means by being a close of another position that it cannot open a new one. In other words, if the amounts, because of your strategy or something like this amount is a bit bigger, whatever, the reduce only means that if you're closing a long, you cannot, because you're closing with a short, you cannot extend that amount and leave a bit of a extra bit of short open. That's not possible. The reduce only means that you're closing, and that's that. Okay, I hope that was clear. So you can see I'm putting trigger price to be higher. So in other words, than that trigger price here. So this will be my take profit. So you can see here, take profit. And I'm doing the same kind of thing for the stop loss. And here I'm doing 3,400. So lower for my stop loss. Okay, so let's run this and let's see. These should appear here. And as I mentioned, you clearly see here that I'm not opening a short. It's clear that I'm closing the long. And that's thanks to this reduce only parameter that you have here. Okay, great. Another thing, and you do have the right prices here. By the way, I didn't mention, but you see that this is indeed a trigger order at market price, so a trigger market order. But also what I wanted to say is that you can see, since these are trigger orders, I put my entry here. I put which one was that? My take profit and here my stop loss, but my funds are still 91. In other words, I have not locked any funds using this method here. So that's really nice. Hey guys, quickly, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give me a little like and a subscription. It really helps. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below, but you can also join our community Discord. And finally, if you don't have an account on BitGet yet and feel like trying them out, we have a registration link also down below, which will give you a 10% discount on your trading fees, which can help in the long run. I was almost going to forget, before we get to quickly seeing the limit order, the trigger limit order case, let me show you how you can cancel these orders in Python. Of course, you can cancel any orders here and clicking on these cancels here. But in a algo trading perspective, you might want to be using your code to do this. So one thing that is important is that one of the reasons why I was saving these outputs here, in here you see order TP, order SL, and here my order entry, is because in the cancel order function method of CCXT, you need to give first the ID, this ID of the order, which you can actually see here. Great. I mean, of that one here. Anyways, and symbol, but then again, you have this params extra dictionary that you need to give. And to cancel a trigger order, you need to say stop equals true. If you don't put that, it'll simply say that it cannot find the order, even though it's there. So you need to put this stop equal true here. Okay, so what I was going to say is simply let's actually run this and let me quickly come here and you can see them disappearing. Great. Okay, so now trigger limit orders. Not much more difficult at all. You can see that what I changed here, I changed market to limit. Makes sense, sticking to a long to the same amount. But you can see also the new addition here is that I've put a price here, which is the execution price of the limit order. So this price parameter now needed to be added in between amount and the params dictionary here. So you can see, so then you have a difference between the execution price and the trigger price, and what you choose really depends on you, on the strategy, on the setup, whatever. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying that the trigger order will be triggered at 3,500. So at that price, it will change and become a limit order. And that limit order will only execute if the price hits this execution price of 3,502. Okay, what I could have done if I really wanted the execution price to be the actual 3,500, I could have maybe come down here and put 498, so 3,492. So now the order will become a limit order at that price here and execute itself if there's liquidity, etc. You know, the deal with limit orders, it will execute itself if the price is 3,500. Great, so that was really up to you. Anyways, so let's just run this and see if we actually see it coming up here. And it was very fast. You do see that here. You can see that now the description is just trigger order. The trigger price we have here, mark price 3,492, but we also have the execution price 3,500. So that is indeed exactly that trigger limit order that we configured here. Great. I've put the GitHub link to this code so you can grab it easily and for free, of course. Now, if you're interested in creating and running your own Python trading bot, you can check this out. I hope to see you soon. Happy trading and take care.